Finish him. Or her?
Welcome. And today we'll dive into a couple of great pro-revenge stories and their reactions. Coming up, we have relatives lose everything because they were too stupid to keep their mouths shut. Plus we have ex cheated on me and falsely accused me of rape, so I exposed her to everyone she knew. I just know you're gonna love these stories, so this should be a fun session. Hi, this is Derek. I just put the drama llama, Fred, back in his pen so that I can do this quick video for you with some of the stuff that Fred found on Reddit earlier today. If this is your first time watching our videos, help me out by watching to the end, and then giving me some feedback in the comment area below. I do respond to every single one, so don't be shy. And if you want more of these videos daily, don't forget to like and subscribe, with notifications turned on for this channel. Oh boy, let's get ready for some deep-seated revenge. The AJ Project posted. Relatives lose everything because they were too stupid to keep their mouths shut. Italy. My family went through some tough times. In the last 9 years, we had to face a brutal divorce with my dad having depleted every single cent he could. One of my aunts was brutally murdered because of a €150 cautionary deposit. My granddad was diagnosed with cancer. And some other fun stuff in the middle. Because of that, our bonds became stronger and stronger. Must say that with my family, I mean my mother, her parents, and my 2 aunts. This year, COVID-19 managed to take away both my aunts. I loved them to the moon and back, but one of them was married to a complete douchebag. He always considered himself to be better and smarter than anyone else. And so were his relatives. My aunt and her husband, I straight up refused to call him uncle, lived in a huge house, and so did his brother with her wife and son. He died around 7-8 years ago and left almost everything he could, just to his brother and his family. Completely ignoring my family because, Op's granddad is already rich, why should I leave anything to his daughter and grandson? Basically. This year, my aunt was won by COVID. I was grieving, since I really loved her and cared about her, and I already lost another aunt prior. When the notary called us to read the will, both I and my mother came out completely astonished. She left us just a few things, even though she always said she would have left us basically everything. I don't need the money involved that much, as I already inherited from my other aunt, and my job pays me really well, but my mom always had to struggle, financially speaking. It would have been a huge help, since she doesn't want anything from me. I tried to give her some money in the past, but she always sent them back, being stubborn as she can be. As we walked out, I pulled my cousin by my side to ask him just one thing. Me? Cousin, hey listen. I know it's a dumb question. But, when I last saw her, I brought my aunt a little ceramic bell, shaped like a lady. She held it to her chest all the time. I'd like to have it back, it would be a memory of her. Him, smiling at me as I was the most stupid person on earth. Yeah, sure, whatever. I don't know what I could do with that stupid bell, take it. But don't expect us to give you anything more, we had to sweat bullets for this will to work. Me? Yeah? I'm sorry. What do you mean? He realized he screwed up, so he just left. My mom went back home, I headed back to my office to take a closer look at my aunt's will. It was bulletproof, and the handwriting was, without any doubt, my aunt's. So, what the heck did he mean? It took me several weeks to finally get the clue. As previously mentioned by my husband. It was just this small phrase. My aunt's husband died 7 years before, how the hell could he mention anything? Since zombies are still nowhere to be seen, and I don't know of any deceased person talking from his grave, I started to scan the whole will once again. Things I never noticed became as clear as the sun. There were missing pages. My aunt numbered them, but the second and fourth pages were missing, with sentences left hanging there. Some of the corrections were legit, but looking closely, there were a few of them, where the uncertain hand of an 81-year-old lady suddenly became stronger and more precise. My aunt's husband was mentioned every time my aunt was talking about money and valuables. He did say something about the savings, but apparently his tithes that were to be given to charity didn't need his approval. Strange, huh? When I talked to my mom and her parents about this, my granddad, who is 74 and still has more strength and lucidity than your average 40-years-old dude, mentioned my aunt's husband will. We don't know what he said, his family never let us even take a look at it, and it wasn't worth it to sue them. I went back to the notary the next day asking to see the will, since I was a relative. He let me but asked what was going on. I simply said, "You'll know soon enough." When I read it, I started laughing so hard that even the secretary came to see what the F was going on. I rushed back to my office and started to write everything down. Crap was about to hit the fan, but not for my family. After a few days, my mom, her parents, and my aunt's relatives met once again in front of the notary. I already told him what was happening. I could see him trying not to look disgusted as my aunt's husband's beloved ones walked in. "Notary, we are all here. Apparently, Op has some things to discuss with us, concerning inheritances." You could hear a pin drop a mile away. I stood up and opened my bag. My family was smiling, my relatives were staring daggers from their eyes. Me. "As we all know, Auntie left everything to you. Nothing is wrong here, as she didn't have any direct relationship with anyone in this room. What is wrong, is the reason behind it." I handed a copy of the will to everyone, with some parts being highlighted. Me. "As you can see, pages are missing. Some corrections are different, to say the least. But, most importantly, my uncle is cited quite often. This led me to his will." At this point, my relatives turned whiter than snow. My cousin tried to stop me, telling me I couldn't possibly use my uncle's will, as more than 5 years passed. The notary told him that I totally could, as the allowance to contest a will is 10 years. He kept silent. Me. "He left me to my aunt everything he had, if she would have left it to you as she died. You see, in our state, it's not legal to make such a kind of contract. So, I want to let you know that you just lost all your rights on my uncle's will. And you are all to be sued for false declaration in a public deed, and attempted fraud." They started screeching and screaming, calling me names and wishing me an obviously pleasant, and late death. All because one of them wasn't clever enough to shut his mouth. Now they lost everything they had, since their farm, their money, their house, and their cars were all my uncle's. They have been forced to leave the house they were living in, all their bank accounts have been blocked, and even their farm had to be closed, since it was also my uncle's previous activity. Since the corrections they made were actually very precise, and some items, jewelry, ingots, cash, are now mysteriously missing. They even have to pay for an equal value. They had a little empire but managed to lose everything over greed and stupidity. Ladies and gentlemen, please listen to me. If you want to screw with someone, at least have the courtesy of not doing it with a lawyer. What are your thoughts on the AJ Project story? Please share in the comments below. Here's how some Reddit members reacted to this story. Traveling Beard reacted with, "Today I learned that notaries in Italy are powerful people. Notaries are an effing caste. Every single notary office is given from the father to his son/daughter. You can't open a new one, as you need the approval of the other notaries in your region, and they want to protect their business. Whenever I walk into a notary office, the first thing to greet me is, usually a couple of Ferrari or Lamborghini. A couple. Notaries are basically the most, legal build ever. El Mao." Pointland Died reacted with, "Whoa, that was one hell of a ride. This was really ProRevenge. It's really sad that they tried to lie like that, but they got what they deserved." The White Wolf answered with, "I approve of this revenge. So many families are caught up in inheritance, some people so arrogant and selfish that they feel entitled to everything. Seeing those kinds of people be taught a lesson, kudos to Op." What a bunch of great reactions. Now on to the next story posted by Throwaway 12322. Who posted, "Ex cheated on me and falsely accused me of rape, so I exposed her to everyone she knew. In late May 2016, I asked my crush, Kate, of 3 years out on a coffee date. 3 dates later, we made things official. For the next 7 months, our relationship felt too good to be true. We clicked on so many interests, so we hardly ever disagreed on anything, we were very open with each other, which led to incredible sex life. We both had good jobs, so we had money to spoil one another, and our families were both enthusiastic about our relationship. In January 2017, I was accepted into my country's Armed Forces Reserve program, as a combat engineer. I underwent basic training from February to late April, and was up until then the hardest thing I had ever done. There were several times I thought I wouldn't graduate, and the only thing that kept me going was Kate's words of encouragement over texts and calls. She was there when I received my BTC certificate, and never let me forget how proud she was of me. As part of my job in the reserves, I would have to go away in the summer for advanced training, between early June to late August. Kate fully supported me going 400 kilometers away to the training center, and spending almost our entire summer break, on work to further my military career. The summer was brutal on me. I was a social outcast from every clique that formed on our course, and was the butt of several jokes. My self-esteem plummeted through the floor, but Kate's belief in me was what made me prevail. I passed as 5th best on course, and I owed it all to her. The decline. Things between us started to sour after returning home. According to her, I wasn't as spontaneous and outgoing as before I went away. I was dismissive, took small jabs and jokes as personal insults, and would rather stay in, watch movies, and have sex instead of going out. Unbeknownst to both of us, I had developed some nasty social anxiety due to the events of the summer, and it started affecting our relationship. Nearing our 2-year anniversary in 2018, we got into a heated argument over a small misunderstanding, and subsequently broke up. I was incredibly distraught, before she texted me 3 days later, and said she wanted to try and fix things. I didn't see her for 3 weeks, but we kept in touch every day, slowly mending things. When we officially got back together, nothing felt the same. Every time I talked with her, it was as if I was walking on eggshells, and it only worsened my anxiety, which in turn hurt our already damaged relationship. Then things finally came to a head at the end of July. The hurt. While in school, Kate had met a dude named John. She saw in John what she used to see in me, and they quickly became very close friends. He consoled her through our breakup, and every little time I messed up afterward. For the record, I knew of John, but never thought Kate would ever do anything with him. One night after work, we had planned for me to stay the night at Kate's place. I arrived to see the two of them chilling on the living room couch. Kate said that John had dropped by for a spontaneous visit, and he was just leaving. After John left, she became cold and distant. I slowly accepted that our relationship was dead, and asked her how things were between us. She echoed my thoughts, and we agreed to break up the next day. She said I could stay the night one last time, seeing how it was late and she was still worried about me. From there on until she fell asleep, Kate became uncharacteristically glued to and protective of her phone. In the past, she wouldn't care if I had glanced over to catch her, and her friends texting about whatever, but now she did her best to hide the screen from me. I asked her about it, and she said it was private stuff, which only raised more questions. After she fell asleep, curiosity got the better of me. I unlocked her phone, I knew her passcode, and found hundreds of messages between her and John. Messages about how she was now single, how exciting it was, that they could now be a couple in public, and laughing at me about every little thing I did. I quietly sobbed as I read through each hurtful text. My crying wasn't as quiet as I thought. Kate stirred, and once she realized what I was doing, she threw a fit. I couldn't find the anger or words to combat her, so I just grabbed my stuff and left, with Kate shouting and yelling at me the whole time. It was late in the morning when I got home. I just broke down and ugly cried all night. I called in sick from work the next day, and spent it sulking in my bed. The day after, I got several angry texts from Kate's friends and family. In a bid to save her image, and denounce anything I might say about her, she told anyone she knew, that I had forced myself upon her that night, in one last attempt to get some, before we broke up, and left after the deed was done. Though what I had done was scarring, she refused to press charges because she didn't want to make a circus of her life in court, and was the bigger person by doing so. I spent the next few months in fear that her allegation would have me discharged from the army, and my image forever tarnished, but nothing ever happened. The revenge. 5 months afterward, Kate DM'd me. After pleasantries, she basically apologized for the whole thing, and actually admitted to faking it, though she would never publicly admit it, to save her own reputation, my image, darned. This angered me, but I kept cool. I screenshot the texts and continued talking with her. Over the next 3 months, she entered into a cycle of events as follows. Complain about a current life situation, usually about John screwing up in their relationship in one way or another, and asking for advice. Lamenting our relationship, how I never screwed up like John did, how she wished we could go back to the way things were, blah blah blah. Ignoring me because John finally pulled his head out of his ass, did some huge romantic gesture, and saved their relationship. Going on a smear campaign on social media about our relationship, employing her friends for help, knowing in full that I would see it all, and trying to bait me into an argument. It would work. She would try to turn the argument around and paint me as the bad guy, and then blocked me for about a month, before repeating the cycle. This happened 3 times like clockwork, and always left me burnt out and broken, but a part of me wanted it to happen. Each time it did, I took screenshots of every damning thing she said. I had a full SD card of everything I compiled before I finally decided it was time. Making several picture copies of the worst text messages I caught. I bought several manila envelopes and mailed them to everyone I thought would matter to Kate. Her parents, grandparents, extended family she was super close with, best friends, work boss, coworkers, teachers, whoever I could find a mailing address for. I made sure that anyone getting the envelope would know that the texts were between me and Kate and sent them off. Within 3 weeks, I got results. Some of the people who messaged me to shame and insult me before, now apologized for their words. My favorite was from her own parents, who went on to say that they were deeply sorry about their daughter's behavior, how they raised her to be better than how she acted, and to please not pursue any legal actions. The thought had crossed my mind, but I didn't have the money nor the mental fortitude to fight a legal battle. I told them I'd think about it, and that they'd be the first to know besides Kate if I did. Kate sent me some texts as well, with things like "How could you betray my trust like that?" or "You ruined my life, you bastard." I didn't reply, I just read every angry text that flew in with a satisfied grin, and then blocked her when they stopped. I never fully found out how bad her life was affected by my revenge. But I do know that she dropped out of school and no longer has a job. I hope John was worth it. Edit. Thank you all so much for the kind words of support. A lot of people have been worrying about my mental state, so I thought I'd relieve those worries. I've been seeing a therapist for 3 months now, and have made significant progress. I can't begin to explain how much I owe her for helping me regain some semblance of normalcy in my life. Boyle 30L10 and reacted with, "Don't stop when you're tired, stop when you're done." Words to live by. RG90184 reacted with, "Kate sent me some texts as well, with things like, 'How could you betray my trust like that?' After she falsely accused you of rape? Does she have a room temperature IQ?" A lot of messages had confidential stuff in them that I promised not to share. She didn't care about your reputation and smeared you in the worst way. Turnabout is fair play. Backyard Skulls reacted with, "You should see if it's still possible to press charges. As a rape survivor, I absolutely loathe, like burning bile even thinking of it, scumbags who fake sexual assault. The emotional turmoil she put you through deserved a lot more revenge than you gave her. I hope you're okay, Op. Sending lots of well wishes." And finally, Cooter Cannibal reacted with, "Solid revenge man. I hope you finally found some closure and can move forward with your life." To a point, I have. It's been a few good months since it all ended. I've been surrounded by good friends and loving family, and I haven't heard a peep from Kate. I'm taking this time to work on myself, overcome my anxiety, and just float along in life. Well, there you have it. A perfectly great question answered by a bunch of fine and honorable citizens. Help support this channel by smashing the like and subscribe buttons. And hit that silly little bell as well to ensure you get the latest videos as they come out. Fred is always finding stuff for me to post regularly. So this is Derek signing off. Thanks for watching. Good grief, it sounds like Fred is out of his pen again. I think he found more drama for me to share with you. See you soon.